Hello and welcome to Kirly-Sue's plant-based show. And today on my show, I have two wonderful people, Paula and Anderson, who own a supermarket. And wait for it, everything in the supermarket is vegan. Now, for somebody like myself who's vegan, it is. I haven't been to your supermarket as yet, but I can't wait to go to somewhere where I don't have to read all of the ingredients several times and figure out what words mean and, look for hidden animal products. So this is amazing. So first of all, I'd like you, ladies first, Paula, if you could introduce yourself, and then Anderson afterwards.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you so much for having us today. And yeah, my name is Paula and I'm the co-founder of Green Bay. And we are based in London. Our Fulham flagship store is based in central London, but we also have the e-commerce arm. So we have an online supermarket shipping across the UK on the next day delivery. And we also have our own range of products.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, and Anderson?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having us. And my name is Anderson, and I am the other co-founder of Green Bay. Paula has already mentioned very briefly what we do. What I do at Green Bay is a little bit of everything. We are still a very small company, so I am in charge of recruitment, product selection, talking to customers. So basically we cover everything. That's what we are doing. So it's like we have to wear a lot of hats.
Yes, I'm sure. So you have a supermarket that's vegan called Green Bay. How did this begin? Because this is kind of a new thing for the UK. I don't know if there's many supermarkets that are totally vegan. So yes, how did it all begin?
Yeah, so I think it all started. So I went vegan myself in 2014. And I think Anderson was a little bit later, maybe 2015. And at the time, we really struggled to find suitable products and, options in traditional supermarkets. I remember having to go to different places to find different products. And it was really time-consuming, really inconvenient. And that's how the idea basically started. We wanted to just make it really easy for people to make the transition. So that was really how it all started.
Okay. And you had the idea, then what happened next?
Okay. So maybe I can help a little bit. So Paula and I, we have, I think, a very similar backgrounds, and also we, as Paula mentioned earlier, we turned vegan, I think the exact day was January 2014 in my case. So back then I was working for a big investment bank, and even though I was happy with the job and everything, I really wanted to do something else with my my experience, and I saw myself doing something else where I can, and this sounds very cliche, but I want to have some sort of impact in the world. And I thought, like, I would like to. I'm not so great at, say, speaking publicly, but I think my skills are about like numbers and probably running a business and stuff like that. So I thought I can combine this experience in my passion, so that I can probably start a business where I can help animals and the environment, with the skills and strengths that I have, and that's why part of like why we started this journey. And then obviously Paula brought to the table a lot of skills that I don't have. So she's really good at designing, and also she's a foodie, so she likes trying new products. So it's always a good complement just to have that there. Also, obviously, if you are working with food, is really important that somebody appreciates products and yeah, so I understand that side of the business. I'm not saying I'm not foodie, but I think she's probably more on that side for me than me. But yeah, so that's how it began. I think it was a combination of skills, passion. We wanted to do something with trying to help the animals. That was actually the beginning. Like, so we turned vegan for ethical reasons. But then like over the years, then we learned that our diet is connected to other aspects of light, like, you know, the environment and health. So I think, I mean, at least from my side, I feel very proud of doing what I do. It's a really nice way to, communicate and help the environment and animals.
Right. So you started this business and it's a supermarket just with just vegan products. I'm kind of guessing there were some people who thought this is a crazy idea. How did you address people who were not as positive as they could be?
Paula?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Actually, when we first turned vegan, I guess back in 2014, it was still very unheard of. Many people didn't even know what the word vegan meant. Nowadays, it's much more, it's considered more normal, I guess. But back then, it was definitely a challenge. So many people didn't even understand the cause or the movement, let alone a business revolving around it. Mm-hmm. So it was really challenging, I guess. With time, people have started to change and shift, and now it's much more accepted.
Yes.
So for us, it's always been about helping people understand why this is necessary and providing the tools and the products for people to make the change. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for us, it's always been about, educating people and letting them know why this is important. But it's definitely been easier with time. Before it was really, really difficult. Now I think we've seen a big change. It's much easier to talk to people about these things.
I would agree. It's become easier, but we still have a way to go. So I went to a wedding not too long ago, and when it came to the wedding reception, I said, "Oh, I ordered the vegan meal," and they said, "Oh, no problem. The fish is coming soon." So there's still a way to go. And then there's people who don't know the difference between vegan and vegetarian.
Yeah.
And then there are people who think that vegans it's only to do with not harming animals, and because there are people who say I love animals and I support animals, yet they eat meat. So there's still some confusion, and there's still a way to go so that the true meaning and understanding of what is veganism is more widely understood, because I still get people asking me crazy questions about veganism, and they'll say things like, "Oh, but a cow doesn't eat meat, so then that makes it vegan." They just I think or then there's the ones who feel guilty. So I'll say, "Oh, I'm vegan," and they say, "Oh, I don't eat much meat, it's just a bit, I just have a bit now and again." Or they'll say, "Oh, I'm gonna have a burger. I'm sorry, I hope I'm not offending you." And I always say, look, I'm a happy vegan, I'm not an angry vegan. You eat what you want to eat, that's your choice. I will eat what I want to eat, that's my choice. I'm happy to inform you, but at the end of the day, it's about personal choice. So I always come from that standpoint, because some people think of vegans as judgmental and oh my goodness, you're wearing silk. Oh my goodness, they think everybody is a angry activist who's vegan. And my point is, no, we're not. The same way people are not vegan are diverse, and they're all from all different backgrounds and all different attitudes. It's the same with veganism, because I went to Veg Fest a few times and I was kind of looking around to think, is there a typical vegan? And I looked around and I thought, no, there isn't. There's stereotypes in our heads, but when you look around at everybody from everywhere. So with regards having a supermarket, what kind of opportunities has that led to in terms of helping people to understand more about a plant-based diet?
Yeah, so I think the point you made now is actually really important, because in fact the majority of our customers are not actually vegan. So they're
Oh.
just people who I mean, there's all kinds, like you said. Some people are looking for better alternatives, healthier alternatives. Some people are aware every day more and more about the impact of our diet on the planet, so they want to make kind of choices. Some people have allergies and intolerances, so they want to look for all these products. So for us, is an opportunity to educate people and to let them know about the options they have. So in a way, we see it as a way of activism as well. When I first time vegan, I used to go to demonstrations and things like that, and I think that is important, and activism is really important. But I think there's many different ways in which you can educate and encourage people. Yeah.
Definitely.
I don't know if you want to add and understand anything else.
No, I think that is pretty much everything. I mean, you're probably thinking the same.
Okay. So in terms of inspiration, what inspires you when it comes to vegan food and cooking and things like that? What inspires you?
I think in my case, I come from Colombia, so we so our culture and our diet is there's a lot of basically animal derivatives. There's meat and dairy and all these things, and that's part of the culture. So one thing that excites me about how things are going is like for instance, for me, it was very hard in the beginning, obviously, to make some changes and then to adjust my diet to 100% vegan diet. But nowadays, with so many companies and new products that are great, that are delicious, so I think for people that are considering a vegan diet now is way easier. I guess that there are two factors that might make things hard for someone to turn vegan, and one is education, and the other two is availability of products. So I think, and this is what we are doing. So we are providing that bridge between great products and people. So we connect them, but at the same time we use all our social media channels, newsletter, and anyway. And even the store, like when people come to the store, so we use these channels to educate and communicate with people. So so when somebody, for instance, comes to a store and they want to, they say that they are trying to, let's say, incorporate more plant-based products, and they don't know where to start. So when we are in front of them, when we have a customer like that, that's actually really nice, because so they basically are coming with an open mind in terms of like, I want to learn, I want to try. So that is when we just basically come and they say, okay, that's amazing, and these are all the options that we have. It depends what you want. Some people I like, for instance, sometimes a burger. Some people might go for sort of raw, wholesome foods, like really healthy, low fat, stuff like that. So there is a bit for everyone. So it depends like what you want. You don't really need to compromise on flavors, because there are new products coming to the market all the time. So I think that is very inspiring, the fact that it makes the technology and new products are making things easier. And yeah, so I think it's really nice to be involved in the whole process and being able to help others with that transition.
Okay. There are a number of people who, when they hear the food is vegan, they think, ugh. They think vegan food is boring, it's tasteless, and so forth. What's your response to somebody? I've got mine. I'll go afterwards. When somebody says, vegan food, no, it doesn't taste nice, it's boring, and so forth, it's not filling. What's your response to them, Paula?
I think we get that a lot, actually, and it's usually maybe people who have had bad experiences with certain products, or they haven't tried many. For instance, a good example is cheese. People tend to have this idea that vegan cheese is disgusting. And I mean, there are some who maybe don't like certain products, but there are literally so many vegan cheeses nowadays. Like just in the store, we actually have, I think it's over 100 different types. So when someone tells me that, vegan cheese is disgusting, the first thing I say is just like, have you tried them all? Like, it's impossible. There's so many good alternatives nowadays. And they're so realistic. Some of them, they made from like traditional aging process, like dairy cheese. So they're actually really similar in consistency and texture and everything. So that's, I guess, that's one of the examples that we usually give to people.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and also it's important to know, like in the past, when there were fewer options, if you were going to a restaurant and you order like I don't know, a vegan option, they probably didn't even have a vegan option. It was just probably a salad, or maybe just the typical fries or rice or anything like that. That is, I mean, obviously still food, but maybe a little bit boring. But now, so I guess, and again, it comes to stereotypes. So people might link. I mean, it depends obviously on the person, but people might think as vegan food as super healthy. And then they will think like you should be super thin because obviously it's all plants and stuff like that, but it's not exactly the case. And again, it comes to education. Like it depends on what you want to achieve with a diet, and because of this is a diet, but at the same time it's a lifestyle. It's not just it goes beyond food. So yeah, it's like how you prepare your things. Like, like if you are going to eat just like a piece of tofu, I wouldn't probably enjoy it just like that. I need to put some spices and make it nice, and then just like experiment with it, and then you get the flavors.
Yes.
Some people are just bad cooks. So they're just hopeless. So
That's me.
so if you just don't know how to cook, then I think you should start improving on that, and then you learn how to mix things and get the flavors. But I think there are so many options again, and it's just about experimenting, trying to find out what you like. Things that you don't like, well, just keep away from them. But there are so many options.
That's kind of my response when people say, oh, vegan food is boring and it doesn't taste nice. I said, well, obviously the person who cooked the vegan food for you is not really great at cooking. So please don't judge all vegan food by that one person who can't cook. I said, because if you can't make it taste good, they just can't cook, and that's it. So yes, I have that. The other thing that comes up for me quite often is people always think that vegan food is really expensive. What's your response to that?
Hey, Paula, do you want to?
Yeah, I guess it depends. Obviously, if you base your diet on just like super processed, fancy alternatives, then it can be expensive. But the cheapest diet really is a plant-based whole foods diet, with based on grains and starch and things like that, vegetables. So it doesn't have to be expensive if you make the main base of your diet just whole foods, and then add the odd food product that you want to add to your diet. Obviously, we don't only go just healthy products all the time. Sometimes burgers and things like that are good also to incorporate into the diet. So
yes. One of the things that I get asked quite a lot is, or people assume a lot, which you kind of alluded to earlier, Anderson, is people think that all vegan food is healthy. So one of my cousins, she said to me, oh, so if I want to eat more healthy, if I just have all vegan food, that would be really good, wouldn't it? I said, well, all vegan food is not healthy, because if you have chips deep fried in vegetable oil, that's vegan, but there's nothing healthy about it.
Yeah.
So there's this myth that everything vegan, and I always say about what you said as well, Paula, a whole food plant-based diet. And I think people don't understand there's different ways you can eat as a vegan. They just think we all sit there with lettuce leaves and carrot sticks and Sing kumbaya. So I don't think they don't quite understand. But what has been your experience of people and assuming, if you have had that experience, that all vegan food is healthy?
Yeah, I think again, it's just like thinking, sometimes people say like a traditional diet with meat and dairy is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And that might be based on maybe their own experience. Maybe they haven't actually experienced any sort of health problem, and they might say that's the way it is. But the truth is, they may be just lucky that nothing, maybe they haven't had any sort of heart disease or anything like that, but that might happen any time. Obviously, if your diet is based on like bad fats and stuff like that usually come from animal,
Mm-hmm.
then your risk of heart disease and other things is higher. So if you follow a plant-based diet, then obviously you are minimizing this risk. So it's not that you are going to be immortal or anything like that. You will have to die anyway, but at least you are minimizing the risk of having unnecessary disease. And also I would say a balanced vegan diet might even help you with weight and many other things. Obviously, it's not for me to say all the benefits, and I cannot claim any of that. But there definitely much more benefits following a plant-based diet compared to a regular or traditional diet. So and again, it comes just to education. Again, I'm not an expert, but we have to learn on the go, and we realize that definitely there are so many benefits that people can see when they follow a vegan diet. And even like when a person who doesn't follow a vegan diet, if they have any sort of heart disease or anything like that, the doctors will tell them you need to step away from meats and things like that. So why then you don't have to wait until you get sick to step away from that. You can just do it now.
I would agree. I think there are definitely a lot of benefits to being vegan. I am a practicing Christian. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, and when they were there's a documentary that they had on channel, I think it was Channel 4, a few years ago, and it was called the Blue Zones. So those are the zones in the world where they have the healthiest people. And Seventh-day Adventists, we're not all, but Seventh-day Adventists, the majority are either meat avoiders, vegan or vegetarian. So there are Adventists who eat meat and fish, but our church encourages us to be plant-based. So when it came to the Blue Zone, Seventh-day Adventists come up as some of the healthiest people in the world who live the longest, and it's due to what we eat. So hence we have a vegan show, which is on Adventist Radio London, which is a Seventh-day Adventist radio station. So once you're talking about a plant-based diet, a lot of our listeners, a significant number of our listeners are Seventh-day Adventists, so they'll be very interested in what your thoughts are on a plant-based diet, because this is something that we've experienced our whole life. I wasn't brought up vegetarian or vegan. I became a vegetarian when I was 18, and then 8 years ago, I think probably the same time as yourself, Paula, I became a vegan. I was watching a film called Forks Over Knives, and then I Got the Truth About Milk, and I watched Vegucated, and then I read the China study, and then that was my aha moment when I decided to switch over. It wasn't difficult because I was a dairy avoider anyway when I was vegetarian. So, it was just learning to eat out, and how I coped with eating out. And I still do it now is if somebody says, oh, we're going to such and such a restaurant, I go online, look at the menu, see if they've got anything. If they've got something, great. If they don't, eat before I go. I eat before I go. So I'm not hungry. Exactly. And I just have the minimum, because I don't want to be that angry, complaining vegan. No, they haven't got any vegan options. It's not a vegan restaurant. So why am I expecting them to have, any more than they do have? I think they should have at least some options, but I have to accept it's not a vegan restaurant. If I go into a vegan restaurant, I'm expecting the world because it's a vegan restaurant. But if it's not, then I think for me, how I manage my expectations is it's not a vegan restaurant, so they're not going to have an extensive menu, but that doesn't get them off the hook from just having one option, because I think that's me.
Yeah.
Just have one. All
Yeah,
right.
definitely. And I think they've gotten much better, obviously, over the years. Before a salad and chips was just a safe bet. Now there's usually more.
Yeah, yeah, there is. I was speaking with another guest on my show, Danielle, who's a pastry chef. She's brought out a cookbook called Vegans Deserve More Than a Fruit Salad. So she's saying when there's vegan desserts, they always have a fruit salad. And I thought, I love the name of her book. They deserve more than a fruit salad. And I've been to so many places and they do the fruit salads, and I think this is just lazy. It's not.
It is.
Very lazy. So where can we find you on social media? Where can we find your stores? Tell us. Now you can plug yourself.
Well, you can, maybe it's your bit.
Yeah. So our store in London is in Fulham, near West Kensington Station, 228 Northern Road. You can also find us online. The online supermarket is greenbaysupermarket.co.uk, and we ship next day across the UK. Social media, I mean, we are in pretty much every platform, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok now as well. And it is greenbay_UK. So I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant. And if somebody's new to vegan food and they think, okay, well, I don't usually eat vegan food, what would you say are the reasons they should come to your supermarket, just to encourage more people to kind of pop in and have a look?
Well, I would say that any excuse is a good excuse to come to stores. It can be, maybe they just want to find out the latest plant-based meats or the latest cheese, or what's the replacement for a camembert, or if we are still alive, like anything, like, like any question about veganism or plant-based products, or anything, or why wine is not vegan or can be vegan, or things like any question like food related. So there are so many things, like I guess, like for instance, marshmallows, like at face value, these might, like, they all might look vegan, but they are not. So things like that, questions like that. Same like with gummies and things like that. So and also recommendations, like substitutes. If somebody wants to make something that requires butter, then obviously we have a few options there as well, so we can advise on that. Yeah, and then like milk, there are so many plant-based milks at the moment, and it can be for for cereals, for baking, for coffee, your tea, whatever. So there are so many, and obviously if you come to the store, you will see there are so many, and you will know which one to take. So I think that's where we can have a chat and explain to them that if you want to have a coffee, then there are a few that probably are going to mix well with coffee, and they're not going to like.
Brilliant.
So
That's all. Excellent. That's all we have time for. So thank you so much for being wonderful guests on our show. And anyone listening or watching, please check out Green Bay Supermarket. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you, Kirly. Bye. Bye.